Hi. Hello. Hello. My name is Marco Castro. Most of you know me by now. I'm going to be presenting my thesis project, which is called Bus Routes. This is an attempt to be graduating from ITP this coming Monday or Tuesday. So what is Bus Routes? Bus Routes, it's a living garden on the roof of city buses. What's its purpose? Its purpose is to revitalize space, use space that has not been used before, multiply the benefits that green roofs bring to a city or to a community, and to be a reminder that living closer to nature can help us lead a healthier life. This is a picture of Manhattan when the Dutch discovered in 1609. And this is a picture of Manhattan in 2009. I see a slight change. It was, at the same time, it really moved me. When I saw them, it really moved me. It raised a lot of questions in my head. It was like, would I want Manhattan to be as green as it was in 1609? What good would it be to return to Manhattan like in 1609? It looks very nice and pristine and so clean and beautiful. But at the same time, would it be something that we desired? What about all the culture and everything that happens in New York, all the incredible exchange of ideas that I love about New York, all the people that nurture them every day? Like, how could we balance that? So that got stuck into my head, and I was like, okay, how we reconnect these two worlds? How we reconnect the vibrant urban communities? It is not just New York, it's just around the world there's many vibrant urban communities. How we reconnect them back with nature in a practical and playful way. So first of all, I wanted to understand, what can plants do? Why would I want to bring plants and nature to the city? So here are some of the benefits that green roofs and plants can bring to a city. It will be a long list. First of all, they bring aesthetic value to the community. They absorb the rainwater so that instead of the water going to if there's a lot of rainwater, the plants absorb that rainwater instead of going to the sewage. If the sewage gets overflown, they just open the doors and let it all go to the rivers. No, that was not it, sorry. The migration of urban heat island effect, the mitigation. Acoustical and heat insulation, and I'll repeat again, carbon CO2 reduction, habitat restoration, they invite insect and animal life, public education, and they reclaim the real estate. There, I made it before. Okay, now stay. So I liked all those benefits, but then I said, okay, how can we blend this together, like the nature and the urban, how can I do it? So I went back to my own roots. I went to see how I myself enjoy the natural and the urban environments. I grew up not having to choose one over the other. Instead, I moved from one to the other. It was like a kind of hybrid. As a kid, I grew up in Guadalajara. It's a city on the west coast of Mexico. It's a city that once was filled with trees. Right now, it's not so much. Real estate has been taking over the main parks. If you're here, please do something about it. Most transportation was done by car. It's a very car-driven city. And for me, I was always in the car all the time. But every time I rode the public transit, for me it was like a roller coaster. It was magic. It was like I would discover the city in a whole new way. It was like I was, like all the sharp turns, all the speed, all the bumps, for me, it was like fantastic. I discovered later in New York that it was not that great if you do it daily. Talking about magic. Magic and traveling has always been like an inspiration for me. I always admired the traveling circus, the magicians, any type of show that goes into a city brings a recreation and then leaves and provides something like an idea and inspiration in people. This was something I always enjoyed. I also enjoyed traveling. Every week I would live in the city during the weekdays, go to school there. In the weekends I would go to my father's ranch where he lived. I loved the journey, but once I got to the ranch, it was amazing where I could see the fireflies. They would always caught my attention, as I bet many people have caught their attention. And to this day, I'm still trying to figure out how to grow fireflies so I can have in my garden whenever I want it, or somehow that I can actually tell them, please come out when I need them. Talking about magic, my great accomplice was my grandmother. She was a biologist and a teacher. She was this kind of connection. It was something I always learned from her. She knew everything about plants. She would go to the ranch, pick out any leaves that she would find, and start feeding. She would be like, if she needed us to go to sleep, she would give us a tea. If she needed something to go to make us go more active, she would give us this certain tea. If she needed salad, it was like very. Again, she was. To me, that was again, it was like something I admire from her. Then I looked into other inspirations as I went on in life. As I was brainstorming for my thesis, I looked at other artists that had inspired me. And they inspired me, why? Because they were establishing a two-way interaction between the city and the natural elements. Perhaps you've seen these projects. That was in London, this was in Lille in France, and this was here in New York. I really love these projects. They really inspired me. I went deeper in my research, and I looked at other people who were using living material to create a conversation with their respective communities. These are other projects that I found through my research, and I've been trying to get what, with my project, I'm trying to reach at something that they've been looking at, the mobile farming, reusing space, intervening space in a creative way, using the power of plants to clean our own environment, growing in transit, growing food in transit so that it arrives fresh to your supermarket. So a question I had to ask was, okay, how cities do they even care about integrating natural elements to their urban environments? And apparently they do. In New York, there is a tax incentive for anyone who installs a green roof. That was part of Mayor Bloomberg's apparently plan for a greener city. And in Chicago, any new building that is being built needs a green roof. It's mandatory, apparently. So then I went on a green search. I analyzed the city as a living organism. I tried to figure out how much natural life was in the city. So I found parks. This is a park just of Manhattan. It's not even considering all the other boroughs, which were not many in comparison to the surface area. So I was like, okay, we cannot really create more land. We have the rivers. We cannot really expand anything else. Perhaps we tried filling in land. It's not the best solution, perhaps. And also, like, this is Central Park. Not everybody is privileged enough. Not everybody is privileged enough to be living in Central Park and having that beautiful view of Central Park. Then I imagine if all buildings were outfitted with green roofs, this would be great to see all these green roofs, all these buildings covered in green roofs. But for one reason, not all green roofs will be accessible to people, which means they cannot enjoy the aesthetic value of them. Secondly, Manhattan would still not look like it did in 1609 when the Dutch discovered. There's still all those streets. All the grid in between the buildings is still there. So what do we do with all those cars and buses running around? There are all these asphalt roads. But these asphalt roads, they are the arteries of the city. They are the life of New York. They carry people from point A to point B. They go from they carry one idea to the other neighborhood. They seem so alive, but at the same time, the streets are vehicles. They can be so inert. They're kind of dead. And they seem to just pollute and create this noise pollution and stress and all the things we all know. So with this in mind, I wanted to develop a project that could use plants as a medium, that would be public, that would involve the citizens and the spaces they use. Hopefully it would be playful. It would be designed consuming the least amount of resources, and if possible, it would heal the environment as it went. That's a tall order. And so with this in mind, it became Boss Roots. This is my project where I'm presenting. So what I'm proposing here, every bus, at least the MTA buses in Manhattan, this is the latest bus that they have, the Orion B7, if you care. Why a bus? They have a wonderful empty top surface waiting to be reimagined. Once having established that I wanted to reimagine the rooftops of the city buses, I figured that each bus has a surface area of 340 square feet. So if we install a green roof on the surface of every one of the 4,500 buses in the MTA bus fleet, I had to do the math. Now, if we install that roof and we could just multiply it and start doing how many buses we could have in Manhattan, that would be 35 acres. And that's still it's still like a number that I still couldn't get. So I was like, okay, that would mean like a surface equal to 4 times Bryant Park. I wouldn't mind having that extra traveling green space. That would mean more people could enjoy rooms with views to moving parks. So plants on buses, that would be very nice. But how to do it? So I researched into plants and movement. I researched how movement would affect plants. My research led me all the way to Darwin. Apparently, there's not that much research. How to build green roofs, what plants are good for carbon capture. So I went to learn about extensive green roofs, which I will talk in a little while. They're different from intensive. There's two types. I wanted the lightest weight possible for the vehicle to have. This is the earliest prototype. What is it involved in a green roof? So we have the first layer, which is the roof support. This is the demo. This is just the roof support. We have a rubber mat that prevents the roots from puncturing the roof, or actually also for the water to not go into your roof. We have the drainage mat, which we can see here. It's this one with the holes. It allows the water to drain and go away, so it doesn't rot your plants. We have the felt, which I believe we have here. It's this felt. We've heard about felt today. The felt, it is a growing medium. It also holds the water. It's like instead of moisture, if you will. And we have the serum mat, which serum mat, I discovered so much about. These are serum. All these plants are they are relatives of the cactus. So they are really sturdy. They are great plants. They withstand very well the windy conditions. They withstand very long drought seasons. That's what they put in really high-rise building where there's like a wind roof that doesn't need human contact. They work at night. That's why they're great with drought season. They do all their work at night, so in the sunlight they don't lose any energy or moisture. And also they grow roots to the sides, so which is great if you are thinking if you're putting plants on your roof or in a bus. You don't want roots coming down your light bulbs fixtures. So I thought, okay, I knew about green roofs. I think I had some idea. So now I needed a bus. So I was referred to the BioBus. This is the BioBus. It's a science lab on wheels. It has microscopes, and they analyze. It goes to schools, and it's an education space, and they analyze different plants and different animals under the microscopes, and they teach kids about biology and the environment. I was very fortunate enough to have the valuable help from them to install the first prototype. So without more, this is the first working prototype. This is the night we finished installing it. It's a 15 square feet green roof. It weighs 225 pounds. It's around the weight of one person. And the cost of it, since we got a donation from the manufacturers of the green roof materials, it's come about like $500, more or less, this first prototype, plus a lot of work for myself and Ben, which we're not counting, obviously. The BioBus, with the BioBus installed, it went to Earth Fair in Grand Central. And it was great because it was an opportunity to test what people thought about it. So people went up on a ladder. They wanted to touch the plants. They wanted to see if they were real. Others, they just assumed they were plastic because buses don't grow plants anyways. So here are some comments I got on video. There's this guy, this two-person. Oh.
I think it's great. May as well use the space for something that's positive and something that's good for the environment.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I would really love to see that.
And then I was, sorry, I was the only person in there. That was the only I could. But then
besides all the environmental.
Sorry. So I'm not fast forwarding that much. So I'll let this guy talk a little bit. Sorry about that. So I talked with John Robilotti. He's the project manager of the largest green roof in the United States, experimental green roof. It's paid by the city. They're trying to find out what's the best green roof to be installed and promoted around the New York City in the New York public buildings. So I talked with him, and as I was telling him, initially, since there were so many rejections to my project, whenever I called, people would hang up on me, like, you cannot do this. Just stop calling me. That's enough. So with this guy, what I did was like, okay, I want to know about green roofs. Can you please educate me about green roofs? I never told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to make them more accessible. That's how I pitched my idea to him. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I felt like I had to confess what was my idea. Like I felt really bad. I had to confess him what my idea was. So I went back to Randall's Island. It's a great trip if you want to know a lot about New York. It's a great trip in the bus. So I went to him as well, like, I want to present you my thesis, see what you think. And he was like, I'm trying to make bus routes more accessible. I was trying to polish it a little bit. He was like, oh, yeah, somebody told me the other day that they saw a bus on the highway with a green roof on top. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And it was like a great way to, for me, it was like, okay, at least he liked the idea. So here's a video. I mean, he just talks about the benefits of green roofs, if I can ever get there.
Why not on top of a bus?
You know, why not?
Besides all the environmental and ecological benefits that it would provide, as green roofs do, I think a very big attribute in addition to that would be the public awareness it would bring to people in the city.
So what did I learn over the process? There was a big learning curve that I had to learn, like the whole system. I was working with a living material that could die on me. I didn't have a backyard, I didn't have a bus. The size of the project, it was like the only place I could store my project, it was in a parking lot in the Bronx. So it was like a kind of a rough access to get access every day to be traveling. The leaks on the bus, we didn't want to have any leaks going in to damage the microscopes or the classroom. Access to materials. Apparently all materials are grown and the nurseries are either from Pennsylvania to all the way to Chicago, but none in the closest I found once was in New Jersey, and they had like the material from last year, so it was kind of dry. An operation, I wanted to make a system that was the lowest maintenance possible, so that the bus driver wouldn't have to be dealing with the maintenance, or at least that's what we're trying to do. The one we installed, it's already very low maintenance, at least. They just need to, they water with the rain. So what are the next steps? I'd like to install in other buses. I'd like to make a larger bus routes prototype. I talked with one other community that they're interested in installing in a whole bus like this. Obviously, there's a whole design challenge that needs to be addressed as design for one, I guess, like for one bus. And I would like to expand the plant selection. This is sedum. I love this sedum right now. But I would love to go into further. Like I was talking with the Parks Department person, and he was telling me like chives would be an interesting option since they're grass, but they're not so tall of a grass. And also lavender, they're also grass, but they're not so tall that they will be damaged by the wind. Another next step would be to install a roots cam, to have a cam here, so I could actually be taking pictures as they grow and as they travel, so they can see how the plants travel. And also do bus route spotting. So as there's train spotting and there's bird watching, it would be very interesting to have people sitting on their lawn chair or in their Whole Foods here on Bowery. I've done it, and you watch the buses pass by. It's really amazing if you want to do it. That's very cool. And just I'm about to finish. This is I feel very thank you. I feel very fortunate to be presenting here to you, such an amazing audience. And I just want to close with one quote. I believe Newton said that every new project owes itself to older developments and can be a platform for future projects. And he said something like standing on the shoulders of giants. I'd like to reuse that phrase since I like that reclaiming phrases, but saying that my project is living plants growing on the shoulders of giants. Thank you very much. And there's a lot of people to thank. And now, if you have any comments, or I went too fast, so you might want to have some questions.
Great.
Yes.
First of all, yes, it was great, and especially since we'd had early discussions and I asked a bunch of hard questions, almost all of which you've answered, which I'm so pleased to see. It's developing really nicely. So the one that I didn't get to that I was wondering about is, have you had a chance to look yet at the sunlight shade issue with the sedum in the city?
I haven't had a chance to look. The thing that we installed it on Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. The bus went to Yonkers on Wednesday. The bus went to Long Island on Thursday, and it was on Grand Central Friday and Saturday. It rested on Sunday, and it left to Chicago to a biotech conference on Monday. So I feel like a parent without a child. It left without knowing. So I really haven't had a chance to actually do anything. Like the camera, it was like a project I was working with, but like the boss just had to leave because they had bring appointments in Chicago. So I haven't really gotten to that far. But the person in charge of the biobus, he's really interested in doing experiments with it, like seeing how the plants react. And also, I don't know if I showed you. They developed a greenhouse inside I don't know if you can see here. They cleared that space to develop to.
Why not?
We have another question, so we're going to...
Yeah. Todd.
Yeah, how wide is the variety of plants you can have on top of a plus? I'm thinking in terms of, can you actually grow some food, or like snap peas or tomatoes?
I mean, that was initially as an idea was like it would be look, it would be amazing to grow food on top. Right now, I get it's like I wanted to be the first experiment, and the truck farm has been growing food, for instance. Right now, I was concerned with the pollution affecting the food that's grown on top of the bus. So I was not sure, and also the weight, you need more soil to grow vegetables. For instance, if you want to grow tomatoes, you need something like this at least, and that would turn it into an intensive green roof, which requires more maintenance. The thing with these herbs, you can go one step further, you can raise the soil a little bit more. And I think right now, for instance, the BioBus, that was where the AC was installed. So right now the weight is not an issue, so we're planning to expand the plant selection during the summer. So I don't know if that answers your question or.
Yeah.
No.